Hey YouTube, I just want to do a quick video on kind of the steps that it's taken to get my shop built here. I know this is a big thing. It was something I talked about for years, kept telling the wife it's eventually going to happen, but just never really pulled the trigger because I didn't know, right? I didn't know how much it was going to cost me. I had this great understanding of this was going to be X number of dollars, and it just didn't make sense. But what I have here in my shop is a 30 by 60. You can see it's got 3 bay doors that are 10 by 10s, a 36 by 80 entryway door, and a window right here. I did do a little bit higher ceilings, so I went a 14-foot ceiling. We are going to put a batting cage in mine. We're also going to put a basketball hoop. That was a big thing for me. I want to be able to shoot hoops, especially if the if the weather was there, but also want to be able to pull my vehicles. I have a bunch of junk vehicles. You'll see them on my other YouTube channels. Like and subscribe if you already haven't. Some things I'm gonna throw out. Got a 62 C10 right now, a 94 full-size Blazer. Got my 06 Ford right here. Also have a couple little 110 four-wheelers that I'll be working on and doing videos, and a sand rail. I guess in addition to, I got a couple jet skis back there, 2 strokes, a 94 Bass Tracker that I'll be doing some videos on, and a 02 Bow Rider. So just continue to follow, but I'm going to lay out some instructions and some things that I learned just from talking to people and going through the process, kind of give you some prices. Again, this is, what are we in, March of 2021, so prices may change, and I'll put a video up here as well. So here we go. All right, so first thing we wanted to figure out with our building was kind of the layout, right? Like the general lay of the land. Where do we want this thing going? We obviously, we knew a general idea. You'll know a general idea of where you want it. But it can be a little bit tricky, right? Depending on whether you have fence lines, for instance, we have a curved driveway, so it curves to the left. We're on a curved road, so did we want it even with the house? Did we want it kind of centered on the house? Did we want it centered on the driveway, or do we want it centered on the road? This was actually probably the hardest part of the process. We got, my wife and I, of course, disagreed. We got my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, and then we got my father-in-law as well. And then we actually had a neighbor come over. None of us had the same understanding of where this building should be, centered, right? Naturally, if you take the front of the building, the back of the building, and then wherever you're standing, that's going to be a straight line, no matter how you move it, right? Whether you move a foot over to the left or a foot over to the right. So easiest way for us was we just stuck stakes in, find you some caution tape or just some of the orange building tape, kind of lay it out and just move it as needed. I recommend laying it out a week or two before the concrete guys are coming, and just drive up to it, like you normally would, and see if it needs to move or not move. One thing I did not want to see is I didn't want to see my building angled. I didn't want to see the back of my building. So I kind of cockeyed it a little bit to where I saw more of the side than the back there. Then we're going to get into the concrete. So everyone wants to know kind of how much concrete costs. Basically, concrete here in Jacksonville right now was $3.75 a square foot. So if you did a 40 by 40 building, it was going to be about about $6 grand. If you did a 30 by 60, which is what I did, it would be about $67.50. That's with a 4-inch pad only. Most of your buildings are going to require a 12-inch footer. So when you're getting quotes, make sure you are asking for a 12-inch footer with rebar. So that was kind of an unexpected cost. My concrete cost ended up being $8,750. That does not include dirt that I had to bring in because the area I was putting it in was a little slanted there. So I actually had to bring in 5 loads of dirt. So you may want to take that into account. So my loads of dirt were $130 a load, which is an 18-yard load. I needed 5. So you can do the math. I think it's, $650 or so. I'm gonna put some pictures here of just kind of the basic concrete and the footer design. And if you have any questions, like I said, let me know, but I'll be back. All right, so concrete's come and gone. Now it's building time, right? So one of the things that I did not take into account beforehand is that I can actually design the building how I wanted it. So this is, obviously you'll need to figure out your needs. As I mentioned earlier, one of my big needs was I wanted a basketball hoop, and also wanted a batting cage. So the reason I have 3 doors that are on the far side is that in between my entry door and the first bay door, that's where the batting cage was going to be. So for me, I wanted a larger span, so I didn't have to worry about opening doors. We can just go in there. I can take the kids and we can hit. Again, you have to figure out ceiling height. If you're going to put a lift in, you're probably going to go with a little bit larger ceiling height. If you're just going to park cars under it, which will eventually be what ours will transition to, then a 12-inch ceiling height or a 12-foot ceiling height would be appropriate. Again, I did 10 by 10 doors. If you're having boats, motorhomes, 12 by 12, 14 by 14s are also an option. Most of them are going to be roll-up doors. But just one more thing to keep in mind is kind of how you want it laid out. Basically, I did from the end, I did a 5-foot gap to the first door. And in between each door, I did a 4-foot gap. It seems to work out well. I can pull cars in. I can open up doors. No issues there. Had I just done cars, then I probably would have evenly spaced them. But again, because I wanted the batting cage in there, I did have that. I will post a video on the batting cage. But total time they were here, they came in at about 7 a.m. on a Saturday. They left at 7 p.m. on a Saturday. They came back at 7 a.m. the next morning and were finished up by noon. So you got 12 hours and 5 hours, 17 hours. They're come and gone. And I'll give you some pictures that'll kind of follow up here, kind of what it looks like. But yeah, so the buildings, for my 30 by 60, I got a range depending on who you use, right? I use Facebook to kind of initiate everything. Once you start searching for it, you'll naturally get these other couple buildings. They range anywhere from 20 to say 25 for what I was looking at. So I was able to kind of get around it a little bit. I didn't have to pull permits. I'm considered ag, so I was able to get it for a little bit cheaper because of that. But if you do live on some land, you have some property, if you're building a large garage, maybe something to look into, see if they have a permitted and a non-permitted price. Here's some pictures for that. All right, guys, last video here, kind of closing this out. So this was just basic, the building construction, kind of what it looks like, the steps that we took. Now gets into the fun part, into, the electrical side of things. I'll do a video on this, so stay tuned. So obviously we got to get a box run from, I'm not an electrician by trade, so please, I'm sure some of you guys will call me out on this, but I'm getting a 100 amp box run from the house to the building. I actually decided to go with a linkable LED lights as opposed to hardwiring individual lights. The ones I found from Home Depot, they allow you to link up to 9 at a time. So there is a cable there. It's a 5-foot linkable cable. I'm going to go that route as opposed to me going up there and hardwiring each individual light or putting a plug up there. Just remember, if you are going to do your own wiring and you're not an electrician by trade, you do want to use some sort of conduit. I'll be using the Armorlite wiring, which is just a metal wrapped wiring, supposedly highly recommended for buildings here. But that's about all I can think of. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to comment. Of course, as always, like, subscribe, follow the channel. It's just a newer channel, but we are getting up and moving here. Like I said, I'd be happy to help anybody along the way. If you have any questions, if you're in the Jacksonville, Florida area or McClenny, Florida area, please let me know. Love to let you see it or meet up or whatever it may be. But again, thanks for watching, and you guys have a good day.